Hello and welcome to IRL FP here in Season 10 at Azerbaijan. I am your commentator Kevin Harrison as usual. Of course last week I was a little bit sick, so Tim took over for me that week. But I am back now, better than ever. And it's time to get and see the guys go around in the realistic performance cars. Of course, right now I'm not completely sure who is first on track to set a lap. Matthew Walder in the Haas, the worst car on the grid, as was the impression I was getting from earlier, as he is actually starting his lap. As he gets up on the curb going through turn 1, once again nice and up on the curb to really maximise lap time through the first corner and then through to the second corner as well. Trying to maximise the space you have on this street track. Very, very tricky getting very close to the walls. It can gain and lose you a lot of time if you scrape it or not. Now through turn 3, again nice and wide, almost hits the wall. As you can see the skill that he has to be this close to the barriers. Coming through now to turns 5 and 6, of course purple in sector 1, everyone will be until someone sets a time. Of course he is in the Haas, so it's really going to be very dependent on how his first two sectors are, especially sector 1, as it's a lot of time to be gained and lost. Sector 2 has a little bit of a straight at the end, which this Haas is not going to fare well with, especially that Ferrari engine as he comes through to go on to this kind of little back straight, if you want to call it that. A double left-hander coming down to the downhill left-hander, which is very, very tricky. You can gain and lose a lot of time. Very easy to lose a bit of wing, as actually I think someone's already lost a bit of wing in that particular corner, but he's going to come through the final corner that you at least have to brake for a few times on the board already. Lewis Curtis first in the Ferrari at 38.5 miles ahead of everyone else at the moment. We'll see how well Matthew Walder can do in the Haas. Of course he's in the worst car, as it's a very long run up to the start-finish line, as he opens a bit of DRS as well. A few more people setting laps. We'll see where Matthew Walder can put himself on the softs, and this is 39.2 to go behind Lewis Curtis. So Lewis Curtis 7/10ths clear at the moment, as Cameron Young in the Racing Point goes third with 39.4, so you can really see how good Matthew Walder is in that Haas. Worst car on the grid, doesn't matter, he's put himself in P2 for now. Lewis Curtis in the Ferrari 7/10ths ahead, pretty much expected. I would be kind of thinking maybe Cameron can do better. I would assume that wasn't a great lap. He is in the Racing Point, which is a good car, you have to say, so gonna be expecting a little bit more from him. I know Paco Suarez as well was doing quite well in practice earlier, or at least when I was in the party when they were practicing, so could see good things from him. Marcel in the Merc, he's an F2 driver. He hasn't been all too bad in F2, and the Mercedes as well. I would be expecting him to be someone who's up there. Tom Jewell, is that an AlphaTauri or a Red Bull? I'm not completely sure. That is an AlphaTauri, so maybe not going to be so far up as I may have thought if it was a Red Bull. But we'll try and find someone else on a lap. Most people setting laps, and now Tom Jewell actually is one of the ones who is on a lap with that Honda engine. He's going to get a little bit of tow from his teammate Ollie Flavel there, I think at least. It should be, as it looks like. Going down the start-finish straight, and he is going to put in a 40.1 for 8th place, so not the best lap, but it is an AlphaTauri, so you can't really expect too much, but I'm sure you would have been hoping for a little bit quicker. A 10th or 2 could have put him P6, as actually the other AlphaTauri is Sondre Sorhog in 6th place. So not too far of a gap between the two AlphaTauri cars. It's Nino Romanello in the Williams, 40.5 for Jared Fosbury in the Ferrari. Would be expecting a little more from them. Ferrari's quicker than that. As Sylvain Vezier is on an in-lap, I would have to assume. Yeah, he's a few seconds down to say the least, as Louis Quinlan is certainly on the lap, as he's going to be approaching turn 3. A lot of time to lose and gain, especially when you're in the Red Bull. A lot of downforce, a lot of time to gain through these really high downforce corners. A lot of 90-degree turns here at Baku, as he's going to finish the first sector was 34.8. According to the track map, that is a purple sector 1 as Lewis Curtis. No, actually he hasn't. That's just a glitch. Of course, this is a Codemasters game, remember. Coming through the castle section for Louis Quinlan, a little bit off on the throttle there. A little bit of a lock-up going through the last part of the castle section, but he gets through anyway, and we're going to see how good his Sector 2 has been. Sector 3 really completely dependent on your engine. As he scrapes the wall a little bit, that's not going to be too good for him. We'll see the track map in a second. It is apparently purple. 1:14.6 between the first two sectors combined, at least, is how that works, as he's going to be coming through the final few corners all flat out now, going up to the line, as we're going to see plenty of overtakes, I'm sure, going down this straight, especially into turn 1, maybe some 3 wide moments, as I'm pretty sure we have seen in Formula 1. Well, he's going to end this lap, but I was going to say there, we have seen quite a few 3 wide moments in Formula 1, or F1, the F1 tier, so I should be expecting similar things here in FP, especially with the engine differences. It looks like Marcel has invalidated his out lap, but that's not going to matter too much as long as it hasn't invalidated his next lap. As we'll see, he's in the Mercedes. He's one of the ones who hasn't set a lap. Only 3 people to not set a lap, as you just seen Louis Quinlan go back in, so he clearly wasn't too happy with his lap, or maybe thinking a medium would be a better tire to be on, as it is showing that he is on the mediums. But through turn 1 for Marcel, not looking too bad. A little bit of a correction going out of turn 1, and a little bit of correction going out of turn 2 as well, so maybe not fully to grips with the track yet. Maybe didn't get as much practice as maybe you would have wanted. But going into turn 3 now, as I keep thinking Lewis has set a fastest lap time, but that's just going to be there the entire session, unless maybe someone improves on that 38.5. Maybe he'll improve his own lap time, you never know. But through the first sector, it's not purple, so it's not necessarily rivaling Lewis Curtis, or at least not to the point where he's as faster than Lewis Curtis at this moment in time. There's a little bit of traffic in McLaren not too far up the road for Marcel, so maybe he'll have to clear that traffic as he comes through the castle section now. I think that McLaren may be on a lap as well. I'm not completely sure. It looks like Tim Mercedes. It could be in a lap, but we may see a quicker lap time from Tim in a few moments. We'll certainly see a quicker lap time from Marcel, as he hasn't set one yet, as you see the McLaren just a little bit in the distance coming through the final corner that matters. Really is not the best exit, and it's really crucial to get a good exit out of there, because you're flat out through the last few corners in Sector 3. Sector 3 pretty much entirely flat out apart from that one corner, so very, very crucial to finish off your lap on a high. Of course, the Mercedes engine and Mercedes car should be able to make back. Sure, so, I can't speak, but it's a 39.7 for Marcel and Mercedes, so not the best time maybe he could have gotten, but it's a time on the board nonetheless, and it's a P6 for him. As I see Cameron Young actually running out of fuel, so he's going to have to try and make his way back. A front wing damage on that Racing Point car on top of that, so it's not going to be too good of a situation for him. As we see Rocco Walsh a little bit further behind. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for a lap here. I have to assume he's going in. I guess we'll see in a few moments. He's obviously invalidated his current lap, so if he has fuel for another lap, maybe we'll see him continue on, but he's not going into the pit lane, so he is actually going for another lap. So maybe not the best for fuel, but maybe he has that much in the car. Maybe he was planning a few consecutive runs. Maybe it was Codemasters, you never know. But coming through turn 2 now, it looks pretty stable for that Alfa Romeo. Of course, by no means any bit fast in terms of real performance. But coming through turn 3 now, maybe a little bit of a lock-ups there. Not the best entry. As someone improves at the top, I think it was maybe Terminator, I'm not completely sure. Someone did improve there though, or maybe someone went out on lap, I'm not completely sure. But approaching the castle section now for Rocco. Ferrari not too far ahead of him. Could be either one of the... Actually, no, there's... Well, yeah, it could be either one of the two. As Lewis Curtis actually has improved on his 38.5, now a 38.3, so he extends his vantage at the top of the field. There's a little bit of a lock-up for Rocco Walsh, and I'm not sure if he's going to be interested in finishing out this lap as he comes through the final corner. I'm actually going to get this up. I don't usually like it. Okay, he's not using the ERS anymore, so that's going to be his lap over. Sondre Sorhog, however, is in lap, I assume. So maybe he's the one who improved recently. Jared Fosbury going a little bit too wide there, almost ripping his tyre off at the exit at the barrier as he actually loses fuel, so he's not on lap either. Tom Jewell is getting a little bit of slipstream from Ollie Flavel once again. I did hear him talk about this in the party earlier, so they are intending this, as he's going to go 7th with a 39.3 and a few hundredths, not even a tenth, hundredths difference to Sondre Sorhog in 5th. So, and well, there's only 300ths between himself and Pacosaurus, so I'm sure he would have preferred to do a little bit better, but that's going to be his lap for now, as Adrian Villarreal is going for a lap here. He's currently 12th in the Williams. No invalidation for his main lap, so he is going to be going for it here through turn 1, a little bit wide, almost maybe invalidating. It's certainly very easy to do so, especially in the race, but he's going to be able to keep it through turn 2, opening up the DRS nicely, going into turn 3 now. We'll see how much he can improve. Of course, Williams, I think, is probably the second worst car on the grid. Haas being the worst, I know that much, but he's going to be coming through to finish Sector 1, a 35.1. He is a 10th up on his time, and if he keeps this up, maybe he could be looking to get into the top 10, just scraping it. Not really too far in, as actually that's going to be an invalidation as well, so no quicker lap for Adrian, unfortunately, as he actually hits the wall, and certainly, yeah, quite a bit of damage there. There's a few people going out for their final runs. Louis Quinlan again, not out on the mediums. He could have finished his lap earlier, at least from what I could see, he could have finished his lap earlier, but he's on a lap on the softs going through the castle section, as almost hitting the wall. Okay, yeah, he's definitely aborted that lap, so not good enough for him through the castle section. He was going for it, but I think he's going to back off and try it again for a final lap. Those tyres are not going to be good at all. They only go about 7 laps at most, from my experience, so yeah, I personally wouldn't want to be on tyres that were used twice in quali, but maybe he thinks it's better. Maybe he could get 11th, you never know. Maybe that's what he's looking for. As we see, Marcel there is the next person to be finishing a lap. Most people around them on out laps, so a lot of traffic to clear as he clears the Ferrari there. I'm not sure which one that would have been. Now going through the castle section, scraping the wall maybe a little bit there, but doesn't look to have affected him too much as he gets nicely up on the curb to try and gain just a little bit more lap time as he comes through the downhill left-hander. Very, very tricky corner, as we saw Rocco Walsh not necessarily get damaged, but I think he did hit the wall at least going through there, so drivers are going to have to look out for that as he gets a nice exit out of the final corner. His last exit wasn't as smooth. He had to correct the car a little bit, or a few times actually, the last time he did a lap, so maybe this lap is going to be a little better as Adrian Villarreal retires. He's going to be 12th at best, as he does actually improve in that time in the end. Working Marcel he's going to put himself second with a 38.7. Not quite close to Lewis still, but I'm sure he's going to be happy with what is second at the moment. I'm gonna try and find someone near the end of their lap. I know there's actually, well, Lewis Curtis. No, that's not actually quite as close to the end. A few people on that lap, so I'm gonna try and find maybe Cameron Young. Yeah, Cameron Young is a little further up, so we'll go on board with him. Currently 9th. I'm sure he's gonna be looking for an improvement on a 39.4, a few tenths, and he can easily put himself into the top 5 at least, as he's going to be once again approaching the castle section. A little bit of wing to push out of the way there, maybe a little distracting, but he's going to continue on as he goes through the kind of double left-hander of turns 13 and 14 here, and then downhill 15. Very tricky corner as he takes it very nicely though over the curb. Shouldn't really be allowed, but it's allowed in terms of the game. And he's going to come through. He's actually purple in sector 2, at least according to the track map, so it looks like he's on a pretty good lap time right now. Currently 11th. Tom Jewell is done for this qualifying session. He's on a 79.3, so he's not going to be improving on 9th. Can Cameron Young do anything? Maybe go for pole. He's going to put it on 3rd position with a 38.8, almost getting 2nd, but nowhere close to Lewis Curtis, who is finishing up his lap. He's actually invalidated, so that's not going to be an improvement. Marcel is also done for the day. Erminator is coming through to finish sector 2 in the downhill left-hander. Very tricky corner. He doesn't opt to skip over the curb like other people has. He does actually skip over that one, which is interesting. As Sondre Sorhog is also finished, he's forced as 39.0, so he improves his time a little bit. Louis Quillen is, oh sorry, that's not Louis Quillen, that is Ross Denham. He's done for the day. Matthew Walder can only do 6 fastest, of course the slowest car. Can Erminator do anything maybe? He's going to finish, no improvement from him. Timber Stalins is actually out of fuel, so it looks like that is going to be the grid. No one else is going to be able to improve. So Lewis Curtis is going to be the man on pole position for today. Marcel and Mercedes just behind, so it's going to be potentially a bit of a fight between Ferrari and Mercedes. It really depends on how Lewis Curtis does with the early stages of the race. Maybe there's going to be a safety car, hopefully for him. I mean, like, he'll be hoping that it all happens behind him today and he's not the one to crash in the castle section, because I'm sure someone is going to do it. But Lewis Curtis, of course, taking pole position, 4 tenths ahead of Marcel Holler. I'm not really sure how to say his second name. Marcel? I'll just say Marcel. Cameron Young puts it in 3rd, just off 2nd place there. Sondre Sorhog in 4th with Alpha. Well, Alpha was his old one. That's Ross Denham in 5th. Matthew Alder in 6th. Erminator 7th. Tim 8th. Paco 9th. And Tom rounds out the top 10. And then it's Louis Quinn, Ollie, Jared, Adrian, Nino, Sylvain Vezier, and Rocco Walsh outside of the top 10. So, going to be a very interesting start, of course, that Mercedes engine versus the Ferrari power. Marcel should, well, he has the advantage anyway, so it'll be very interesting to see how that goes down the start finish straight going into lap 2. If Lewis Curtis can make a good enough gap, then good for him. If he can't, then Marcel might be on his tail and looking for a move in turn 1. But whatever happens, we'll see. Hasn't happened yet. As we wait for everyone to get their strategies in order. And feel free, anyone in the stream, to put any predictions in the comments as well. As we take off for the formation lap. There we go. Lewis Curtis still... fastest lap still showing up. For me though, if nothing goes wrong for Lewis, and he has shown pretty good form in IRL F1 as well, I would be expecting him to convert this into a win for himself. I think Cameron Young, I mean, he was just off the Mercedes of Marcel. He's quicker, like in equal cars at least, so there is a level of skill involved in that as well. So I think he'll take the second, and then I'm gonna say that Marcel's gonna be able to hold the third. I mean, the Mercedes engine gotta count for something. Cameron Young and Marcel both with that benefit, starting second and third. So they're most likely gonna be going punchy into turn 1 on lap 2. And especially if Marcel loses a little bit of slipstream, Cameron Young will be looking to pounce. But I think the top 3 will still be the top 3, just a different order. As we see everyone slow down and get into their grid slots as we await the 5 red lights. In terms of outside of the top 10, very mixed. 4 people on the mediums, 3 on the hards. Five red lights here at Azerbaijan. And it's lights out and away we go, and it looks like Marcel has actually got a good start. He's alongside Lewis Curtis and ahead into turn 1, so the Mercedes does get ahead of the Ferrari. They're actually still side by side though. Going into turn 2, Lewis Curtis still trying it down the inside. It looks like Sondre Sorog has made up a few places, going up into 3rd position, actually getting involved in this fight. Maybe a 3-wide moment into turn 3, you never know, but Lewis Curtis still trying to hang it in there. Sondre Sorog actually looking to go around the outside of Lewis Curtis as well. Starting on pole, might end up losing 2 positions into turn 4 now. Marcel does very much take the lead of the race, still side by side. It looks like Lewis Curtis is going to take this though. And going through turns 5 and 6, it's Marcel who leads from Lewis Curtis, Sondre Sorog, Matthew Alder up into 4th, and Cameron Young dropping 2 positions down into 5th. So very, very interesting there. I did think that the Mercedes engine would kick in, especially in the back straight, but now Marcel is ahead. He's leading as well, and he has that Mercedes advantage. So it's going to be very difficult for Lewis Curtis to do anything, as there's a virtual safety car, not a full one. It looks like that's something that's happened in the castle section. I'm not sure, it seems very bunched up at the back, but doesn't look like anything major has happened. Everyone going through, no one's DNF'd. There is actually a little bit of damage on the car of Louis Quinlan in the Red Bull. So seems like something happened. Maybe someone else had damage. You can tell a little bit more of a story. Actually, that Renault has a bit of damage as well. This Parco Suarez has a lot of damage, so he'll have to pit this lap as well. So maybe an incident between Paco and Louis Quinlan happened near at the back. Looks very spread out now. The top guys certainly pulling a little bit of a gap. Lewis Curtis trying to pull into the slipstream to try and make a move down the inside, but can't do it. Actually, a little bit of... Oh, that's Cameron Young in the racing point. It looks like maybe he was trying to make a move. I saw side-by-side moment between two cars around here. So I think Matthew Waller and Cameron Young maybe went side-by-side. Maybe Cameron Young trying a move. Didn't quite work though. As he's down into P6, I think this is. Yeah, it looks like P6 as he actually gets out of the way of the McLaren of, who I can only assume is Tim Verstappen's, as the timings are a little bit glitched, which is very annoying. But this is your leader though. Marcel, of course, got a better start in turn 1, a very, very nice start indeed, and he's going to be able to lead the field away. Lewis Curtis right on his tail though, right up the back of the gearbox of this Mercedes, as you can see. Very, very close here as we come through the double left-hander and now to the downhill left-hander. A lot of time can be gained and lost. As you can see, actually, Marcel went a little bit wide there. There might have been a bit of damage to the front of that Mercedes. No damage actually, but certainly a better exit for Lewis Curtis, which could allow him to be looking at a move maybe into turn 1. He's right at the back of him anyway. As you can see, even without DRS, it's just slipstream right now. He's gonna get the DRS flap open in a moment. They're gonna be side by side going into turn 1. Lewis Curtis should be able to take this still side by side. That Mercedes engine certainly coming in, working wonders for Marcel, as he's going to keep it on the outside. Matthew Walder and Sondre Sorog, the two teammates in the background, going side by side. Matthew Walder comes out on top in that fight, and Lewis Curtis comes out on top in the fight for first. So Lewis Curtis retakes what was once his, and he's once again leading this Grand Prix. As actually Cameron Young, a few people pinning Cameron Young and Ross Denholm now into the pits. The two teammates, they're obviously not in the same car, but this is FP. They are teammates, Matthew Walder and Sondre Sorog, as they're coming through turn 4. A solid P3 and P4 actually for their team, so would be expecting them to be happy, as Tim Verstappen follows closely behind Sondre Sorog. The two of them might end up fighting a little bit. Of course, it's a Honda versus Renault engine in these cars, so I would assume the Honda engine would take that. I don't think the Renault is best engine. I think it's probably third best, Ferrari being the worst, but it doesn't matter for Lewis Curtis, as he's leading this field away, and it looks like he's getting a little bit of a gap now to Marcel behind. And really the top two in general gapping the rest of them 1.1 seconds, actually the same gap momentarily there between first, second and third. But Lewis Curtis has now gapped the top guys, so yeah, he's probably going to be able to run away with it now. I did actually say Cameron Young was going to be able to take AP2, but it doesn't look like that anymore. Matthew Walder, of course, in P3. Marcel actually pitting. What tires is he going on to? On go the mediums. This is a scheduled stop. There was no front wing change there. And he is going to come out in around 9th or 10th, I would say. As out of the pit lane he comes. He's going to be just ahead of Jared Fosbury in the Ferrari. So 8th place now. It is an undercut strategy. He's going to be looking to come out ahead of Lewis Curtis after the pit stops, and he most likely will. But he's going to have to make another stop, because those mediums will not be able to go to the end from here. Even the hards have a hard time going from lap 7, which is when you would normally pit. So that early of a stop, that's definitely a 2-stop for Marcel. So it's going to be very interesting how that plays out, with Lewis Curtis presumably going for a 1-stop as he stays out, but maybe he'll react to the Mercedes as he comes through here. He has a little bit of a lead, 2.5 seconds, as Sondre Sorog actually drops back from his teammate a little bit, as his yellow flags in sector 2. Not completely sure what that was about. Looks like Cameron Young's going a little slowly. Maybe him just letting people through again, I'm not really sure. He has damage again. pretty sure he pit. So he's obviously gone back out and got more damage. And, well, I hope he's not trying to force a safety car. As off goes this entire front wing now. I'm gonna stay on board for a second. I mean, no front wing would do this to you, to be fair. Yeah, it doesn't look too... Just wanted to see, because it looked like he was kind of intentionally doing it. Maybe that was genuinely just a front wing. As we go back to the fight for the last podium spot now between Tim Brusalens and Sondre Sorhog here. 6/10. Oh, well, now he's retired in the pit lane, has he? I think it was in the pit lane. It looks like it, yeah. So, yeah, he's not going to be causing a safety car. But he has called it a day. Same with Ross Denham. Unless he crashed. I'm not sure. But we continue on here. Not really many fights necessarily going on. There's Adrian leading a train of Ollie Flavel. That would be Sylvain Vezier in the McLaren. Marcel just behind. He's on fresh mediums, of course. So we'll be expecting him to be making a few moves soon, as I do see the gap between Tim and Sondre getting maybe a little bit bigger, as there's 9/10 between them. And Mercedes now. Mercedes power, fresh tyres. You'd be expecting this to be an easy move as he closes up Sylvain Vezier here. A little bit of a fight maybe between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams up ahead. I'm not completely sure. I don't think so. So yeah, he's going to be looking at a move, but not quite. And the Mercedes of Marcel is going to have to stick behind for another 2 corners at least, unless he's going to go for it down the inside of turn 2. No, he's sensible. He's going to stick behind and not actually get the best exit here. So he's going to have to really rely on this Mercedes engine to make him a move here, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. So he's going to have to stick behind for another lap as Lewis Curtis stays out, surely gaining time, as actually I will get the gap to leader up here. 19.6 seconds separates the top 2 at the moment, as he's right up the back of Sylvain Vezier here. So he's certainly going to be looking for a move, maybe a little sooner rather than later. Very ballsy moves to go down the inside here. You're going to have to trust a lot that the other car is going to back out, and he is going to back out, and Marcel is going to make up the place. So a very, very ballsy move from the German, well, Austrian actually, not German I should say, he is Austrian. A ballsy move from the Austrian, and he is going to be up into 7th place. Now, Ollie Flavel is going to be his next target here. He might actually see a 3-wide moment, and this is what I was talking about with the quicker car being at the back. He's certainly going to make a move on one of them anyways. Ollie Flavel doesn't have the best exit. Of course, those hards aren't going to be helping, as Marcel on those fresh mediums. A little slidey from Marcel, as Lewis Curtis is in now, so it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out in comparison to Marcel. Marcel is going to be looking for a move on Ollie Flavel, but it doesn't look like he can make it, as we're going to go on board with Lewis Curtis, as he's going to come out of the pit lane there. In the background you're going to see Marcel, but it's not good enough, and he's going to be out behind Marcel, not able to make a move. There's Matthew Walder as well, so this undercut hasn't worked out. He's actually lost places, if anything, and hasn't gained time either, as he was with Lewis Curtis before the pit stop. So he's lost a lot of time there, and on the fresh mediums, as actually a little bit of a side-by-side between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams. Ollie trying to make a move on Adrian, side-by-side between the two of them. The McLaren actually trying to get involved as well. Sylvain Vezier here. It's not going to be good news for Matthew Walder, who's trying to make a move up the inside, I think there. He's trying to make a move on the McLaren, but he can't do it, as we'll get an onboard shot from Matthew Walder. He has to kind of watch this fight happen here, and he's not going to be able to do anything as... Oh, that's interesting now. both of them in the wall. The Williams getting damaged. I'm not sure about the Alfa Romeo. That wasn't... Was that actually Ollie? I don't think it was, you know. No damage for Rocco Walsh, at least. I'm not really sure. I might have got mixed up there. As Ollie Flavel continues on, I thought it was a fight between them two, but maybe not. Of course, Marcel is certainly going to be continuing on. Matthew Walder kind of seems to break a little bit later than the guys ahead of him, and unfortunately just tapped Sylvain into the wall, or some kind of thing. Actually, it was Sylvain Vezier as well. Sylvain and Adrian. So yeah. Seems like Matthew kind of nudged a little bit there. I don't think it was by any means intentional, but... yeah, a crash in the castle section. It's what we were expecting from the start, as Terminator gets a 5-second penalty, but yeah. Tim Mercedes actually getting a 3-second penalty, it seems. Or actually, no, it's Marcel. Okay, it's a little unfortunate for him, because it wasn't looking too bad for him before the pit stops. He went early on the mediums. I'm not sure why. It's certainly not the strategy, but also on a 2-stop, he's going to have to make up a lot of time by the end. In the Mercedes, it's possible, but being held up doesn't look like it's going to turn out as well as he maybe would have hoped. Oh, and there's a spin, actually. That's Sondre Sorhog. So we caught that just about in the background there. I'm not sure if he has any more wing, but bottle from Sondre Sorhog. And he doesn't have any wing. So round in the castle section, and he's going to let a few cars through there. Tom Jewell's also going to go through, so down to 13th. And he's going to certainly have to go back to the pits and get a new wing. And it's actually quite unfortunate because... oh, Terminator! I can't actually spectate that. He has actually crashed as well in the castle section, but this time it's a retirement and it's also a safety car. Lewis Curtis, all them pretty much is already pit. Ollie Flavel is going to be in, certainly. But for what tyre? Because those hards... putting on another set of hards would be interesting. Mediums go on from lap 9. I don't know if they're going to make it to the end, but... yeah, I think it's probably going to be another stop for Ollie Flavel. As the other Alfa Romeo also in there, as he gets just behind Jared Fosbury, couldn't jump him. That's going to be because this game can't handle double stacks yet, even though it's they've had all the time to fix it. It's pretty simple, but apparently not. And people still get held up in the pit lane. So that's not going to be too nice for Rocco Walsh. Certainly losing a place to Jared Fosbury there anyway. That he maybe didn't have to lose. As of course everyone under the delta here. So would have been out at lap 8, so this would be lap 2 of it, but he hasn't caught the safety car yet. Actually, damage! Lewis Curtis has damage here. He's most likely going to exit the pit lane in 4th, which isn't too bad for him. I think maybe Marcel should think about pitting as well, though, because he's going to lose a position to Ollie Flavel, but I don't think he'll lose a position to Jared Fosbury there, because it seems too much of a gap into the pit lane for Lewis Curtis. Very unfortunate that he has to make this stop, but he does have damage, so you don't have much of a choice there. As will Marcel go into the pit lane? He will, as actually all of the top 4 guys going into the pit lane. So they're going to be looking to get out ahead of Jared Fosbury, but Ollie Flavel might be able to jump them all here as he's going to come across the line. He's going to jump, especially Tim Brustalian's there. He's going to come out of the final corner. They're the top two, so he wasn't actually able to get them all. But up into P3 for Ollie now, as he pit the lap before. So, out of nowhere really, for Ollie Flavel, he's in a very good position for third. Top two, of course, the teammates in F1, they're leading the championship together in the constructors in F1 as well. So familiar faces to see in the top two positions. Matthew Alder usually the one taking the win, but Lewis Curtis has put up a fight with Matthew Alder, and being in the Ferrari, you would expect him to be able to pull this gap out a little bit here. So we see them slowly come through the castle section. As it looks like the safety car is going to be out for an extra lap here. Mainly because Lewis Curtis wasn't able to catch up quite as early. There's really not much to say right now. Just have to wait for the cars to go around and the safety car to come in, and what you would expect to be this lap. So we should get the call as they come around what is the final corner of Sector 2. And then it's going to be Lewis Curtis to lead the field away. And there you go, safety car is in this lap. So it's all up to Lewis when we go now. Oh, Tom drew a 5-second penalty for a severe collision. Not sure who, I assume it was Vezier. Regardless, though, Lewis Curtis is going to be the one to lead the field away as we don't get the best angle here. as it looks like he's gonna take it all the way to the line, and now he's going. So did he catch Matthew Alder off a little bit? Doesn't look like he caught him off guard too much, but he's done enough to keep the lead into turn 1, so Matthew Alder can't do anything at the moment. Remember, both of the top 3 cars actually all have Ferrari engines. All 3 Ferrari cars, the 3 different ones, occupying the top 3 spots here. And then there's of course the McLaren of Tim Mercedes not too far behind. Marcel is on the hards going to the end. Now this is interesting because it's really a case of which tyre will go off. Like, well, will the mediums go off too much by the end of this race, and will it fall into Marcel's hands? Because of course he has the Mercedes as well, so he's probably not going to lose too much time. But when those hards are quicker, then the mediums could work out for him quite well, as he's running P5 right now, with a penalty unfortunately, but he could be able to gain by the end. So maybe a good strategy call from Marcel, but it remains to be seen how good of a strategy call it will be. A little bit split, most people going for the mediums, some people going for the hards. Tim is closing up to the back of Ollie Flavel. He's going to pull to the right hand side, and he's going to make that move miles before the corner. No DRS in activation right now either, as Lewis Curtis sets the new fastest lap with a 1:43.1. As actually round there, that's Ollie Flavel, and he's going to actually lose out quite a few positions here. He's going to be side by side with the Renault of Paco Suarez here into turn 2, and it looks like he's going to lose out to Paco Suarez as well. He's going to try and keep it maybe, but can't do it as Williams and Nino a little bit too far behind now. Maybe a dive? No, he's going to keep behind the Renault and lose quite a few places. He was running P4, now down to P7. The new person in, well actually he was running P3, so losing 5 positions I think that was. The person who will inherit his position, Tim Mercedes, which I'm sure he won't be too unhappy about, as he's going to be chasing down, or trying to chase down Matthew Alder, but looks like Matthew has the pace over him right now, as that gap is increasing ever so slightly more as we go through, as we're going to get the normal gaps back, so we can just kind of see 2.4 seconds between himself and Matthew Alder at the moment. Rocco Walsh, I'm not actually sure, we'll check. Position, yeah, Rocco Walsh has actually gained a lot this race, 13 positions, starting down in 17th, so actually last, it seems, by that logic, if he's gained 13. So yeah, if he can get P4, then that would be a great drive for him, but the race isn't over, as actually the Renault of Paco Suarez trying a look around the outside maybe of Marcel, but he can't do it, as there's a little fight in the background as well, as actually round goes still from Vezier. I think it was a fight between Nino and Vezier into turn 1, but Vezier is round, and Nino is going to be able to very much take that position. So Sylvian dropping out of the points, a few people gaining a little bit, as Sector 1 has some yellow flags. Is that something that's... okay, that's Marcel! Oh, I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's also gone round somehow. He was ahead of Paco Suarez, everything didn't look too bad, but certainly bad now, as we'll see if he has damage. I don't think he got any damage. I can't really tell. I think he does have damage on that left end plate there. Oh, and well, someone... okay, that might be another safety guard, as Jared Fosbury now crashes in the castle section as well. And a virtual safety car, not a full one. So Marcel's going to get back into the points. And actually this could kind of decide a bit of the final moments of this race. Is now Matthew Walder, if he can get a good restart, might be able to get back that DRS range, which would allow him to close up a little bit more, as that Ferrari is certainly a lot better than the Haas is. That's Marcel now into the pit lane, but DRS back in activation, 1.1 seconds separating the top two. Tom Jewell has now retired from the session. I'm not sure where, I can't see his car on the map right now. Maybe he was in the pit, but he is out of the race now. He was running very much in the top 10. Marcel, of course, was also running in the top 10, but he obviously had to pit. So he's in 11th, the only spot now that won't give you a point. And I would assume you have to complete around 24 laps to lock in a point. So, yeah, not quite in the range where a crash would still get you a point, but almost there, I guess. As we see the top two, 1.2 seconds separating them. This is, of course, who is the, well, it would be 1, 2, 4-time champ at this rate. Taking all his instructors as well. I'm not sure about season 5. That is something that I'm not sure about, but to my knowledge is a 4-time champion in F1, chasing down the lead of this race. 7/10 now separating them, so it looks like he used a little bit of overtake to get back some of the gap he lost. And we might have a bit of a fight on our hands for the top 2 places, which is always nice to see. A fight for the lead is what you want. As they come through turn 3, Matthew Walder closing in a little bit more now. 6/10, maybe 5 when it updates, or around that at least. It is 5 now, so he's certainly closing in. He's using that Ferrari engine in the back of that Haas a little more than Lewis Curtis is, as there's that's Nino Romanello off in turn 3. As he waits for everyone to go by, he's going to be down to 10th. And he retires on track. Well, that isn't allowed. But, yeah, he did it. Marcel now back into the points. So he'll pick up a singular point for finishing where he is, as long as he can keep it on the track and not retire. As Lewis Curtis now pulls out a 1 second gap once again. So that Ferrari really kicking in now, I guess. So yeah, it looks like Lewis Curtis does finally have that lead to himself, and he's going to be going off into the distance. Paco Sawara is now up to P4. I can't quite remember where he started. I guess we can kind of check. 5 places, of course. Rocco Walsh up 12. So yeah, he would have started 9th, Paco Suarez, so not the best place to start. I mean, 11th to 12th would probably be better than where he started, but he's made the most of it. and he's running a solid P4, not too far off Timber Stadiums in third, neither of them with penalties either, as Marcel pits again, maybe going for the fastest lap, which he is completely entitled to do. Oh, was that someone going around maybe? Sondre Sorog making a little bit of a mistake going out of turn 2. Rocco Walsh is going to be able to... Well, actually, Sondre Sorog has made a move. I'm sorry, I missed that. But it was Rocco Walsh running in 5th. He's now down to 6th. Of course, that Alfa Tauri is a lot better than the Alfa Romeo. So yeah, forgive me that I missed that there. Paco Suarez now in DRS range. So we'll see if that, well, both of them actually with Renault power, of course, this being last year. No Mercedes engine in this McLaren quite yet, so it's going to be equal on that front. But Paco is going to have the slipstream to use, he's going to have the DRS to use. Can he close up now and take this P3 away from Tim Mercedes that Tim has been holding for quite a while now after the final safety car? He's going to close up, he's not going to be able to go for a move, but he is going to be right up the gearbox of Tim Mercedes now, going into turn 3. I'm sure he's going to hang back and try to make the move later. Is into the wall there maybe. That is Rocco Walsh, unfortunately, and the Renault of Paco Suarez can't quite make the move, so Rocco Walsh no damage, so maybe not into the wall, but it looks like he spun in turn 1. So that's down to 7th. And Ollie Flavel, the other Alfa Romeo, is going to go by. So here really our main fight is this one here for P3. Also a fight for Ace, or is it Ace? It is Ace, between Sylvain Vezier and Adrian Villarreal. Oh, actually, a little too deep there for Paco Suarez. He's actually going to hit the wall, and now Sondre Sorog is in the back of him. On the back of him, I should say. 4th place he was running, but now through the flat corners you can see how much he's losing out now to Sondre Sorog as Sondre cruises up to the back. He's going to open DRS here as well. Paco isn't going to have any slipstream. He's going to be on the inside, and it should be a pretty easy move now going into turn 1, and it is, as he takes P4 away from Paco Suarez, and Sondre puts himself up into P4. So now he's really going to be the one chasing down Tim, and Tim will be able to breathe a little happier for a little bit longer as he retains this P3. As a yellow flag in sector 2, that is Marcel. Running 10s, still looking to pick up this final point. As into the pits goes Sylvain. So now Sondre Sorog and Tim Verstaines, I'm pretty sure they were on the back of each other earlier in the race, and the same has happened now. Tim Verstaines still trying to hold his P3. Going to be 6 laps left at the end of this lap for them, as Lewis Curtis is going to be finishing it up in a few moments. But we'll see now how this fight is going to develop, with Sondre Sorog on the back of Tim Verstaines. Tim clearly not responding to these mediums as well as Sondre Sorog. Maybe the car having a part to play in that as well, as he's going to close up here. Tim Verstaines is going to defend to the inside. Sondre Sorog is going to be on the outside here, and they're going to go side by side in turn 1. Sondre Sorog with a switchback, looking to be on the inside for turn 2, but can't make it work. And Tim Verstaines is going to keep track position for now, but for how much longer? Approaching turn 3 here. Sondre Sorog once again on the back of Tim Verstaines. He's going to look to the outside once again, as he did in turn 1. A little bit of a lock-up, and he can't do it, as Tim Verstaines actually has a little bit of a back-end loss, I should say, out of turn 3, but not significant enough for Sondre Sorog to be able to take advantage of it, as Cameron Young has left the session. He did retire quite a while ago, so he stayed in a while. But the fight for P3 now really heating up between Tim and Sondre. Tim trying to hold this. Of course, Sondre didn't have necessarily the best race, because he did spin earlier in the castle section, but partially with the help of the safety car and maybe his own strategy as well and his driving, he has got back up into P4, and he's looking at a podium, and actually also looking for a double podium for the team as well, as he's teammates with Matthew Alder. And they did actually get a 1-2 here last season, the two teammates, as they were teammates last season as well. But we are going to go on board here. Sondre Sorog is on the outside, but this time I think it's going to be a little bit easier. Paco Suarez isn't too actually far back, as we're going to get an on-board shot. Paco Suarez with the wing damage, he doesn't care. He's going to be looking around the outside of Tim Verstaines, and Tim Verstaines not able to keep it, so he actually loses 2 positions, really kind of in a straight in a corner. So down to P5 for Tim. He was P3 a few moments ago, so he's not going to be too happy with that, but he is going to have to take it into his own hands to try and get these positions back now. Looks like he did use up quite a bit of ERS. Well, actually, all of them really using up quite a bit of ERS. Running very low on it right now. The top 2, by the way, 4 seconds separate them now, so Lewis Curtis most certainly making a gap, as Sylvain Vezier sets the fastest lap now. Of course, he put on the softs fresh there. Marcel did the same, so maybe we'll see Marcel take the fastest lap for himself. Get himself an extra point. So yeah, not looking like anyone's going to be able to be making any moves anytime soon. It is this battle that is the most important and really only battle that we have right now, is the 3 looking for this final podium spot. Sondre Sorog currently the one who has it, but Paco Suarez isn't too far behind in that Renault. It does have damage, but he's still going for it, as maybe he's gotten a little bit more used to his damage now. Sandre looking to take the P3 here. And it's going to be the second double podium for the team of Thunder from Down Under. They retained their name from last season. Unless Pacosaurus can have anything to say about that. Looks like Tim is a little bit too far back now. He's lost a little bit too much time, so he's not going to be able to influence this fight for P3 unless he can pick up the pace a bit now. Jeez, you'd think with Baku being Baku, with that straight, that we actually get some battles, but even when people are in DRS, which they aren't now, but they have been, it hasn't really worked out. When someone makes a move, it seems like the tyres matter a little bit more than having DRS, and people are able to stay ahead, so kinda looks like Sandre is pulling a gap now as well. So Pacosaurus is obviously pushing a bit, but he's seemingly stopped now and toned down the engine a bit maybe. 1.1 seconds separating them. But looking like this is Sandre's lose as Paco gets back into the DRS, but not really able to utilise it all too much. That Renault, well, maybe not the Renault, I'm not really sure which car is quicker, but Paco seemed quicker earlier, so I have to assume the Renault is better. .25 out of 26. Lewis Curtis approaching the final sector to start the final lap. Has led most of this race in the lead. Pacosaurus is now 1.8 seconds off. Starting lap 26, yeah. Looking like Lewis Curtis is going to take this, unless something happens in the castle section. He is on his own, so he doesn't have to push anymore. 6 seconds behind is Matthew Alder. As he comes through the castle section now, no problems it looks like as he comes out of what is turn 12, I'm pretty sure. now approaching the final corner that matters, so doesn't look like there's anything in Lewis Curtis's way anymore. Sondre Sorog 2 seconds ahead of Paco Suarez, so it's not going to make a difference there either. Marcel is a little bit further up the road, but he should be able to finish out the final lap, unless he doesn't want to, as he is going to move out of the way. So it's going to be Lewis Curtis in the Ferrari to cross the line in the lead, and he's going to take the win here at Baku. A very much dominant win, is 7 seconds in the end. The gap back to Matthew Walder in second, and Sondre Sorog is going to fend off Paco Suarez for the P3. So it is going to be a double podium for Thunder from Down Under. Tim Verstappen's ran most of the race in P3, but going to end up taking the P5, and then the two Alfa Romeos, Ollie Flavell in 6th. Walker Walsh seemingly with maybe some issues with the rear of his car, which demoted him a few places, and he's going to finish 7th. The McLaren of Sylvain Vezier now in 8th. I'm pretty sure he also took the fastest lap with that as well. And then Adrian Villarreal not too far behind either. So they're going to finish out the top 10, which are going to be the only guys actually finishing the race, because 7 retirements today. So yeah, that's it. Lewis Curtis wins. Lewis Curtis stands on the top step of the podium, lifts the trophy to take the win here. Matthew Walder in the worst car on the grid, at least according to him. I didn't check it, but he takes second. He can do anything in any car really. And then rounding out the podium is teammate Sondre Sorog. Going to be a good day for both of them, I think. As we'll go down the order now. So Lewis Curtis, of course, taking the win ahead of Matthew Walder and Sondre Sorog to round out the podium. Paco Suarez in 4th, Tim in 5th, Ollie in 6th, Rocco 7th, Sylvain Vezier in 8th, Adrian 9th, and Marcel rounds out the top 10. And then Nino, Tom Jewell, Jared Fosbury, Louis Quinlan, Erminator, who I'm not sure of the name. I'll try and get his name for next week, but that's how it was today. Cameron Young and Ross Denham all DNFing, the 7 DNFs for this race. So I will get the top 3 in now. I'll take this opportunity to check the comments there as well. Oh, well. Just a few crashes for Terminator, really, and yeah, unfortunate. There's Lewis and Matthew in. Okay. Well, we'll start with you then, Lewis, as we wait for Sondre to join. Well, I mean, obviously you took the win. Marcel did jump you on the start, but he pitted a little earlier. He stuck to his strategy. A few safety cars, maybe putting a little bit of a spanner in the works, kind of. But you come out on top with the win.
Yeah, had a decent qualifying lap, got pole position obviously. Then in turn 1 got jumped, which I think was a bit of a dirty dive from, but it happened. Then Marcel pitted and I realised he came up behind a train of cars, so I stayed out until I realised I could jump them. Got a bit lucky with a safety car to be fair, because I did pick up damage on the front wing. And other than that, it was quite a boring race up front to be fair.
Kevin.
Yeah? Did I
you
add
added
his...
on account.
Yeah, I thought so. I was kind of thinking that. Okay, well, his right account is out now. Well, yeah, obviously, like, there wasn't really much to say. Obviously, Matthew Walder got behind you with the last safety car. Did you think maybe he was going to be able to jump you and stay ahead, or do you think you had that under control? Obviously, in the end, a 7-second gap, but...
I kind of had it under control because I was always gaining time for the castle section, which pulled me out of the DRS range. And then by the point he caught up to me, he ran out of ERS, so I could just launch you on the next lap on ERS and just put away. So not really much of a fight from him.
Yeah, and next race, I just need to check to make sure. But yeah, it is Japan. Obviously, taking the win, you're not going to be in as good of a car as the Ferrari, obviously, but how do you think you could go around there?
Well, I'll probably be in the worst car with Matthew, so anywhere within 15 seconds of him, I'll be happy with.
Well then, congratulations on your win and good luck for next week.
Thank you.
Then on to Matthew then. Maybe a little more eventful. Obviously you had a little bit of a fight with Sondre earlier on in the race, and then kind of settled into a P2. Safety cars obviously showed up, but didn't really affect you all that much, and you took a P2 then.
Yeah, it was a good race from my end. Yeah, I assume you haven't read the chat since you've been doing this interview stuff, but I already apologised to Vessia and Sassy Pickle because I hit them and probably ruined their race, because I think I might have given a wing damage. But from lap 1 I started 6th, I jumped to Ross, and then I dived on camera into turn 2 and I was up to 4th. Then I think I followed Sondre for a bit, and then I passed him. My pace was faster. We didn't really know that at the time, but we swapped anyway just to check, I guess. And then I was, Then I tried to catch up to Marcel and Lewis, but Marcel pit onto the mediums, and that was really confusing because I've always considered the one still faster.
Same for me.
Then we had the VSC on lap 5, I think. I didn't pit for that. I thought it was stupid. I can't remember what lap the VSC was on, but I think it was lap 5. And then I pitted onto hards on lap 6. I was going to go lap 7, but the tyres fell off way too fast. Being in the Haas, obviously, the tyre wear was so much worse than an equal car than I expected, so I had to pit lap 6. I was sliding all over the place. It felt like at the end of the race where I was trying to save my tyres, it felt like I was driving like that. I had to use high gears at every corner. And then the safety car came out, and at that point, I don't know if you know, but Lewis had damage, so he got lucky with that. I think I might have been able to win that, but I don't know. But the safety car happened, so I can't do anything about that. Then I tried to stick in the DRS of Lewis as much as possible, and for as long as I was able to hold on to his DRS, it helped a lot because I got an 8-second gap to Tim. And from then I was just driving around by myself, really. Yeah, Lewis broke the DRS to me inevitably. His car was much faster. I was a bit surprised at Lewis's pace. It felt a bit slower than I thought it would be after his quali, but it was still fast enough to pull away, unfortunately for me.
Yeah, and obviously in the end, the P2, I'm not sure if it was actually the worst car, but I heard you calling it the worst car earlier. So, I mean, in the circumstances of being in the worst car, I'm sure a P2 is certainly welcome. Next week, Japan, you'll obviously stay in the worst car. If you were in the worst car this week, a second place will probably keep you there. So, do you think you could repeat what you did today with the podium?
No, I do like Japan a lot more, but this track is a lot less chaotic, or Japan is a lot less chaotic than Baku was. So there'll be a lack of a skill gap at this track because there's less walls right next to each other, so people are going to be more confident at driving around. And yeah, I won't be as high up in terms of actual raw pace. I still think I might be able to snatch a podium, but I'll just be hoping for a 5th or 4th like every other race with the worst car. And I actually have been leading the championship for the last 2 rounds, I think, Kevin.
Yeah, and obviously I do wish you luck. Congratulations for the P2 and good luck for next week. Can't speak.
Thank you.
Then it's Sondre Sorhog who took the third. A little bit of a fight with Tim, almost with Paco as well in the end, but he had damage. But solid P3 and also a double podium just like last season for the team as well at Baku.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did get a double podium here last season. I'd actually forgotten about that, but I don't know. Maybe we like the chaotic track. In my case, I did manage to put myself around in Castle once, but
yeah, I spotted that.
But
unfortunately,
a little luck with a safety car later on, and just getting the pace together at the end. The end was a lot more exciting than the beginning, even though the beginning was more comfortable. That's when I went in the wall. While when you're just pushing, it's a little more easier to stay in the rhythm, and that's obviously when I managed to catch Paco in the end, who had front wing damage. So he was unlucky there. I wouldn't have beaten him if he didn't. And Tim, I don't know. I feel bad for Tim. He just lost his pace at the end of the race, so unlucky for Tim and Paco for that matter.
Yeah, kind of seemed like it anyway, because it seemed Tim was going a little better in the earlier stages, but it is what it is sometimes, and obviously you ended up with the P3, which is pretty solid, I would say. Next week obviously is Japan.
After last week.
Yeah, next week being Japan. You're not going to be in the worst car ever, but it's probably going to be a little worse than AlphaTauri. How do you think you could go around there?
Well, I mean, when you get to Japan, and worse than AlphaTauri, then like the next car is either Williams, Haas, or Alfa Romeo. So I'm gonna have a great time, I guess. Not gonna do as well, but just hope Matthew manages to sneak on a podium like he always does, and try to pick up some point if possible.
Well, then I guess congratulations on your P3 then, and good luck for next week.
Thank you.
And that would be it then. So that has been IRL FP for round 6 now, I think it is, or round 5. Round 5 for Azerbaijan. And wasn't so eventful, thinking it was Baku. It has the longest straight for battles, but battles didn't necessarily happen. The retirements didn't help. But yeah, hopefully Japan will be better next week. And yeah, it's not the end of Azerbaijan as well. Be sure to look out for F1 and F2 and F3 Saturday, and F2 and F3 both on Sunday, all at 4:30 p.m. UK time. So look out for that. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more fights to come here at Azerbaijan. And yeah, apart from that, good night.